Golden Age darlings who secretly only loved other women. They were the dream girls of a generation. Their faces launched 1,000 fantasies. Their names on marquees guaranteed sold-out theaters across America. Men from every walk of life, from factory workers to presidents, fell hopelessly in love with these goddesses of the silver screen. But behind the glamorous publicity photos and carefully crafted studio romances lay secrets so explosive they could have destroyed careers, reputations, and entire studio empires overnight. These weren't just any Hollywood secrets. These were the forbidden loves, passionate affairs, and lifelong partnerships these iconic women shared with other women. Relationships the studio spent millions to conceal from an unsuspecting public. If people knew who these women really loved, it would have shattered the entire fantasy, revealed a former MGM publicity director in a rare 2016 interview. The studios weren't just selling movies. They were selling impossible dreams to millions of men, and those dreams required these women to be available. At least in theory. What you're about to discover isn't just another Hollywood scandal. It's the systematic erasure of authentic lives and loves, a coordinated campaign by the most powerful studios to rewrite not just publicity materials, but history itself. Most shocking of all is what happened to the women who refused to play along. The brutal career destruction, the mysterious nervous breakdowns, and in one case, a suspicious death that still raises questions decades later. But first, we need to understand why Hollywood's most enigmatic and desired actress, a woman who captivated millions but allowed almost no one to truly know her, took the extraordinary step of destroying evidence of her most intimate relationship just hours before her death. Twice as many as usual tomorrow. Greta Garbo, the Divine One's divine secret. In the 1920s and 30s, no actress commanded the public's fascination like Greta Garbo. With her luminous beauty, husky voice, and mysterious aura, she became Hollywood's first true enigma, a woman whose very remoteness only increased her allure. On screen, Garbo's smoldering performances in films like Flesh and the Devil and Queen Christina established her as the ultimate object of heterosexual desire. Her famous line, "I want to be alone," became not just a catchphrase, but the foundation of her mystique. Yet behind this carefully constructed facade was a woman whose most significant emotional and physical relationships were with other women, a truth that MGM Studio went to extraordinary lengths to conceal. Garbo understood the power of mystery, explained a film historian specializing in queer Hollywood history. Unlike other stars who played along with studio-arranged dates and publicity relationships, she simply refused to participate in the charade at all. No dating, no premieres, no interviews about her romantic life. This approach gave her a unique form of protection. While other stars had to actively lie about their sexuality, Garbo created such an impenetrable wall of privacy that speculation remained just that speculation that could never be confirmed during her lifetime. The most significant relationship in Garbo's life appears to have been with Mercedes de Acosta, a poet and screenwriter known for her numerous affairs with Hollywood's most beautiful women. Their relationship lasted nearly 3 decades, though with significant breaks and reconciliations. The depth of their connection was revealed only after both women had died, when de Acosta's collection of letters from Garbo was made public. These writings, though carefully worded, leave little doubt about the intimate nature of their relationship. "I am home again, and I have longed for you ever since I left," Garbo wrote in one letter from 1932. "When I get your letters, I cannot resist answering them at once. If I could only tell you what happens inside of me when I receive them." Another note simply stated, "I want to be alone with you." What makes these revelations particularly significant is that Garbo, who maintained iron control over her personal effects and legacy, took extraordinary measures to retrieve and destroy many of her letters to de Acosta when their relationship cooled. According to multiple biographers, she was terrified these intimate expressions might eventually become public. Her fears were well-founded. When de Acosta faced financial difficulties later in life, she considered selling her collection of letters from famous women, including Garbo. Though she ultimately didn't publish the most revealing correspondence during her lifetime, the very possibility sent shockwaves through Garbo's carefully constructed private world. Most poignantly, just hours before her death in 1990, the 84-year-old Garbo reportedly asked her caretaker to destroy several boxes of personal correspondence, the final act of a woman who had spent her life protecting her truth from a world she didn't trust to understand. "I lived the life I wanted to live," Garbo once said in a rare moment of candor. The exact nature of that life remains partially obscured, just as she intended, but the evidence that remains points clearly to a woman whose deepest emotional and physical connections were with other women, not the men who adored her from afar. far. While Garbo chose complete privacy as her shield, another European star took an entirely different approach, hiding her true nature in plain sight through a persona so flamboyant that people often missed what was right before their eyes. No, I've been doing this kind of work now for 6 years, so they couldn't possibly call. Marlene Dietrich, the star who hid nothing and everything. If Greta Garbo was Hollywood's great sphinx, Marlene Dietrich was its most brilliant chameleon, a woman who crafted such a dazzling public image that few noticed how openly she displayed the very secrets she was supposedly hiding. With her sculpted cheekbones, sensual voice, and unmistakable personal style, Dietrich arrived in Hollywood from Germany already a star, thanks to her breakthrough role in The Blue Angel, 1930. Unlike many actresses of her era, she exuded a sexual confidence and ambiguity that was revolutionary. Most daringly, Dietrich regularly appeared in men's clothing, tuxedos, suits, ties, at a time when women could be arrested for cross-dressing in some American cities. Her most iconic image from the film Morocco shows her in a man's tuxedo, confidently kissing a female audience member, a moment of breathtaking sexual transgression for 1930. Dietrich wasn't hiding her sexuality, she was flaunting it through carefully calculated theatricality, explained a costume historian who studied her style. By making her androgyny part of her exotic appeal, she transformed what might have been scandalous into something artistically daring. This theatrical approach extended to her personal life, while maintaining a marriage to Rudolf Sieber that lasted from 1923 until his death in 1976. Dietrich conducted numerous affairs with both men and women. The marriage was largely one of convenience after its early years, with both partners pursuing other relationships while maintaining a friendship and business partnership. What's particularly fascinating about Dietrich is how open she was about her affairs with women within certain circles, while studios simultaneously promoted her as a heterosexual sex symbol to the public. Her relationships with women were numerous and, by many accounts, passionate. Among her rumored female lovers were actress Claudette Colbert, singer Edith Piaf, and most famously, the extraordinary black performer Josephine Baker. Their affair during the 1930s in Paris was well known among entertainment insiders, but completely hidden from Dietrich's fans. When Dietrich loved, she loved completely, regardless of gender, wrote one biographer. She pursued her attractions with the same intensity she brought to her performances. Like Garbo, Dietrich also had a significant relationship with Mercedes de Acosta. When questioned about it later in life, Dietrich's response was characteristically bold. Oh, her. Well, she had the most beautiful eyes, but she went to bed with all the pretty girls in Hollywood. I wasn't the only one. What protected Dietrich from the career destruction that might have resulted from such openness was a combination of factors: her carefully maintained marriage, her European exoticism that allowed Americans to view her as excitingly different, and her genuine sexual fluidity that included relationships with powerful men who could provide additional protection. Studio publicity departments worked overtime to emphasize her affairs with men while completely erasing her relationships with women. Fan magazines featured romantic stories about her connections to various male co-stars, creating a public narrative that bore little resemblance to her actual life. In her later years, particularly after retiring from the screen, Dietrich became somewhat more open about her fluid sexuality. When asked directly if she had had affairs with women in a 1970s interview, she replied simply, "Of course, everyone does. It's nothing special." This combination of hiding in plain sight while allowing studios to construct a parallel heterosexual narrative for public consumption made Dietrich unique among her contemporaries, a woman who lived her truth while simultaneously participating in the fiction needed to maintain her career. While Dietrich managed this complex dance between authenticity and marketability, other stars found themselves trapped in more painful compromises, including one of Hollywood's most talented and independent actresses. Fair about it. Well, really, at the first we didn't have one at all. Barbara Stanwyck, the strong woman with a secret heart. With her fierce independence, no-nonsense attitude, and extraordinary range as an actress, Barbara Stanwyck embodied a new kind of Hollywood woman in the 1930s and 40s. From her iconic role as the murderous femme fatale in Double Indemnity to her hilarious turn in the comedy The Lady Eve, Stanwyck consistently delivered performances of remarkable depth and authenticity. Off-screen, however, Stanwyck lived a life of carefully maintained fiction, one that biographers and Hollywood historians have spent decades trying to unravel. Stanwyck was the ultimate professional, noted a film critic who specialized in women's roles in classic cinema, but she was also intensely private about her personal life. That combination of visibility and secrecy makes her one of Hollywood's